And I think it's about time we get started. Hey, welcome to At the Track Live. My name is Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics. What is All About Aerodynamics, you ask? Even if you didn't ask. All About Aerodynamics is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about physics, about aerodynamics, about lift, about drag, about pull, about push, about the scientific method, about elastic energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, about a whole range of topics. Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion. And after I've taught the kids all the science and they've learned all the lessons, then I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student picks the Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned about aerodynamics. And then once they've picked a car, we line the cars up. They set up a 20-foot drag racing track, and we have a series of races and a tournament and determine which car is fastest. The students observe how their car performed. Did it perform up to or below their expectations? And then they make a determination as to whether or not they would choose that car again if they had a different opportunity to pick. But before I can bring all those cars into the school, I have to make sure that I know which cars I have so that I know which cars I'm taking into the school and which cars I'm bringing back. And in order to do that, I have to catalog the cars. So every car that I have that I take to a school has been cataloged. I have pictures, I have video, I have the information logged into a spreadsheet, and I can keep track of the cars that way. Each car is numbered, and so I know which student has which car, and it's easy to keep track. But like most Hot Wheels collectors and enthusiasts, I buy Hot Wheels cars all the time. One, because the price is right. They're usually about $1.25. But every store I go in, I always make a side trip down the toy aisle to see if there are any new Hot Wheels cars, things that catch my eye that I might like, or things that I think that the students would like. And I buy Hot Wheels cars all the time, but until I've cataloged them and put them in the spreadsheet and taken the pictures and done all of that, I can't use them. So I just end up putting them in a storage bin, and I now probably have about 4 bins full of Hot Wheels cars, hundreds of Hot Wheels cars that I haven't cataloged, so I can't use them. So I came up with the idea for At the Track Live. What is At the Track Live? At the Track Live is where I go into those storage bins. I get usually about 6 cars out of the storage bin, crack those open, take a look at those. I take the pictures, I take the video, I enter them into the spreadsheets, and then we take those cars out to the track and have a race, have a little mini tournament to see which of the new cars is the fastest. But that's not all. But wait, there's more. At the Track Live is not just me opening the 6 cars. What it also is, it's an opportunity for you to have some input and see if you can find a car that is faster than one of the cars that we've picked. Now, how do you do that? Well, you can go to AtTheTrack.live, and you'll have 3 options. One will be the YouTube link, one will be the Twitch stream, which you don't need because you're already here. And the third option is going to say choose a car. And with that third option, you will be taken to this page here. And on this page, you can scroll through and you can see all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. And you can find the car that you think is going to be faster than one of the cars that I have pulled. And let's say, for example, you believe that this 57 T-Bird is faster than one of the cars that I have picked. All you have to do is find the car. You can click on it to get a better view, a close-up view of the car. Take a look at the aerodynamics, the wheels, the setup, the materials. This is an older car that I've had. I think I had this one when I was a kid. And you can see that it is metal on metal. So a metal body and a metal base. Most of the Hot Wheels cars today are either one or the other. It'll be a metal base with a plastic body, or a metal body on a plastic base. And there are different wheel types. These metal on metal cars tend to be heavier, and that is something you want to keep in mind. But that's why I've taken this picture, because you can zoom in, you can take a closer look and determine if this is the car that you want to pick. And if you decide this is the car you want to pick, you're confident that this is the right car, all you have to do is find the number that's in front of the car. All of the cars are labeled and numbered, and you take that number, you drop it into the chat, and then I will pull that car, and we'll bring it into the little mini tournament, and we will race it against the car that is first up to be reviewed, or second, or third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. And there are a variety of cars here. We've got fantasy cars, we've got actual cars, we've got cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. We even have some, like this one, this Hollowback. I believe this one was one that my son got in a Happy Meal at McDonald's. And if I'm not mistaken, this car, there's a little switch under the bottom. There's a couple of these we have that there's a little switch under the bottom that you hit it, and then the inside, a little light comes on. And surprisingly, after all these years, it still works. But I don't remember whether or not this car is actually fast. But if you're looking at it and you think, yeah, I think the Hollowback is the car, that's the fast car, that's the car I want to pick, then all you have to do is select that car. You find the number 196, and you can drop it into the chat. And then eventually I'll pull the car, and we will take it out to the track. Very simple. Currently, we have, let me double check, there are a total of 572 cars that have been entered into the fleet. However, I was a little slow in getting the last group of cars uploaded. So I don't think, probably the last 5 or so cars are not in here, but that still gives you quite a few to pick. Yeah. So I have 5 other cars that I need to enter. So currently what you have to pick from, you have 567 cars to pick from, and that will be sufficient to find one that can take on and take out our champion. And our champion car is pictured right there. It's car number 565, the BMW M3 GT2, which is also sitting atop the podium right here. And this car is our current fastest in fleet. Let me get it spinning, get some championship rotation. And our fastest in fleet car, what that means is it is what the name implies. It is the fastest car in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. When we have the little mini tournament today, so we'll introduce 6 cars. Those cars will have a tournament. There will be a winner. That winner will then take on our fastest in fleet car. If it can beat it, then it is obviously the new fastest in fleet car. If it loses, then the BMW M3 GT2 remains our champion and the fastest in fleet car. This one has held the title for a couple of weeks now, and it's interesting because when it first raced, it was going down the track, and then midway down the track, it just kind of slowed down. And that happens. Sometimes heavier cars lose momentum when they get further down the track, but it was strange. And so this car lost, and we went on with the tournament and had a winner. Well, when I went back and looked at the video, what I noticed is that the wings on this car stick out quite a bit, and you'll see as it kind of rotates that they stick out. They're pretty wide from the body. Most times with the cars, the wings are they're more or less in line with the body. This one, you can kind of see it kind of sticks out a bit. Well, there are tripods that hold the cameras when the cars are racing, and it turns out that the wing of this car was clipping the tripod, and that's why it slowed down. So I had to make an adjust the tripod to lift it up, because the wings on this car were so unique that it created that problem. And ultimately ran it back. So the next week came back and took this car, had it race in the mini tournament, and it was pretty dominant. Came back a week later, was still dominant. So this is our fastest in fleet, and today we may have some challengers that are going to, I think, potentially have a chance to take this car out. You never know until you actually race the cars and get them on the track, but it's looking pretty like we should have some good races today. And that is something that I'm looking forward to, because again, you never really know how the cars are going to perform until you get them on the track. And that's what I emphasize to the students. When they have learned the science and they have all this information about the aerodynamics and the design and whether or not they believe that the car will have an easier time with the air being able to flow over, under, and around the car, it's all a hypothesis. They're taking what they've learned in the class, and they are making an educated guess. But until we conduct the experiment and have the race, we don't know if that was an accurate guess or if it was totally incorrect. So I always love the excitement of finding out how these cars perform, because there are often surprises that we really can't anticipate until we get them out on the track. So that is what we're going to do. We are going to take a look at the new cars we have coming up, but some other things on Instagram. If you are following our account at AA Aerodynamics, that is the place where you can find out what's happening with AtTheTrack.live, all about aerodynamics during the week. And what we just started doing is having a live IG broadcast. And in that one, what we're doing on Fridays, we'll review or preview the 6 cars that are going to be open today. So we're just looking at them through the packaging and not opening them up. So just getting just a quick look and a preview of the cars that are going to be racing. And it also gives people an opportunity to see the cars that are going to be racing on Saturdays, and then allowing them to go to the choose a car page and find the car that they want to race against, whichever car we have, whichever cars we are selecting. And being that there are over 560 different cars to choose from, you might want to take your time and scroll through, and it gives you a little bit of an advantage. If you know the car that's coming up, then you know maybe which car you should pick to race against that car. So that is something we've started doing on Instagram. Also, it's just a car hunt for Hot Wheels collectors when they go out looking for cars. The term is car hunting. And if they can find a car, or if I find a car that I like, bring it back, then I might jump on IG Live and our new Car Hunt page, our Car Hunt show series. Haven't really worked out the details on the name, but take a look at the cars that I've picked up before they've been pulled and entered into the fleet on AtTheTrack.live. And I'm planning in the future to set up polls and have people vote to decide which cars they want to see on AtTheTrack.live. So just trying to make things much more interactive. But follow us on Instagram at AA Aerodynamics to get all of that information. Something else that's coming up, because I got an email from someone a few months ago. I bought this, and it is a Hot Wheels race timer, and it's custom made by a company, Cook's Projects, and I believe it's just one person, and he makes these. And essentially what it is a Hot Wheels race timer. And so you set it up on the track, the cars pass through, and then you get information on the speed of the cars, and there are a whole bunch of other calculations that this thing will make, and you plug it in to a computer, and you can get a spreadsheet or additional data and information, which is very useful. The problem that I found is that if I turn it, just hold it up, these sensors, let's see, right here, there are 4 of them in here. And the problem is that when the Hot Wheels cars come through, they are touching the sensors unless they go through perfectly. I mean, they would have to go through just in exactly the right way in order to avoid hitting these sensors. And some of the cars, that's not realistic. And the problem is that these are, I think they're glass, and they will break if the cars, especially at the speeds that we send our cars, and if our cars moving at the speeds that they move hit one of these, they will definitely break. So I contacted the guy who made these, and his suggestions were not well, I'm not going to say they weren't helpful because I haven't tried them. His suggestion was to kind of push these sensors back in. So this one I pushed in, just manually, I just pushed on it and it went in. So you can see that this one sticks out a lot less than the one on the opposite side. So what I need to do is get all of these pushed back about that same amount so that I can be confident that the cars won't smash into them and crack them. And I've been meaning to get to that, but I haven't. And the problem is that these aren't, however they're attached, they don't all just push in. So I'm going to have to take this thing apart and actually adjust these sensors. And I haven't had time to do it yet, but I also haven't decided if that's something that I'd want to do live, or if it's just something that I will do on my own and then make a video about the process and then put that on YouTube. But that is another thing, and I'm interested because you can get a lot more data. We do have our finish line for our drag strip is fine in that it tells us which car won, but it doesn't give us this much data that we can get from this Cook's Project machine, which was pretty expensive. So being that I spent all that money on it, I do want to be able to utilize it, and it will be helpful for the students and just for Hot Wheels collectors and people who are into racing Hot Wheels to know how fast the cars were going, and just a lot of different information you can get. So that's also something that's coming in the future. So once again, any information on anything that's new, anything that's happening with the program, you can find that at AA Aerodynamics. And for information about all about aerodynamics, the science program, you can go to our website, aaerodynamics.com, or just go to AtTheTrack.live, and there's also a link where you can click and find out more information. At AtTheTrack.live, there's also a calendar where I will post when we'll be up here. Now, it's basically every Saturday at 11 a.m., but there will planning in the future to do some other things during the week, to race cars that aren't necessarily going to be entered into the fleet, and do some special races. Yesterday on the Instagram live, we talked about having an all Batmobile tournament, because I realized I've got several different Batmobiles, and there's going to be one added today. So there's that. So there's a lot going on. Just follow the Instagram account, and you can be sure to be in the loop. Now, all right, so let's get into what we are here for today, and we will take a look at the first car, and let's see which one we will go with. We'll start off, I'd say, fairly traditional, with a kind of Hot Wheels muscle car. And it's this one right here. This is the 71 Plymouth Road Runner, and mainline car, which means just a standard car. Also, one thing that someone asked, I don't do anything to the axles. I know that in some of the on some of the channels where people do gravity tracks and race the Hot Wheels cars down gravity tracks, they go in and they do different things to the axles, or they add graphite and to try and reduce the amount of friction and make the cars spin, the wheels spin faster. I don't do any of that. The way the cars come out of the package is the way they hit the track. I don't do any modifications at all. The only modifications I've ever done was a few months back. There was a car where the exhaust pipe stuck out too far, and it wouldn't fit onto our launcher. That car, and that car, I did have to cut those exhaust pipes, but other than that, I don't modify the cars at all. What you see is what you get. So let's crack open this 71 Plymouth Road Runner and take a closer look. Okay, let me check the year on the bottom, 2021. I like this car. I like the feel of it. It's got a little bit of weight to it. All right, let's take a look at the 71 Plymouth Road Runner. And as it comes around, it's a good looking car. I'm going to take this video, and the reason why I take the video is because there is an online version of All About Aerodynamics, and because the students will not get the opportunity to see the cars in person, I want to make sure they have a chance to see the car from all angles so they can look at the video and the still pictures. And then there are some other things that I plan to do with the videos down the line, and a lot of that is even if I haven't done anything with the video, it's better to have the video and not need it than to need it and not have it and have to go back and do it. So while I have the cars on the podium, might as well take the video and the still pictures all at the same time, get everything out of the way, and cars will be ready. So looking at this car, this is the only thing that would concern me about this car possibly is the weight. I haven't weighed it, but just in holding it in my hand, it just seems a bit heavier. And it is a metal body with a plastic base. All right, now let's get the still picture. And I usually want to get a good 3/4 view of the car. Zoom in a bit. There. And slightly. Because we'll find out, and as you've heard me say many times if you've been watching, the back end of the car is very important. And it's important because we want the cars to get a good... No, Siri, I didn't ask you a thing. But we want the cars to get a good launch. And in order to do that, they need to be pressed up against the back. All right, that's good. All right, we've got our picture. Good. They need to be pressed up against the launching block. The launching block is a square block, and the cars, if they're pressed up against it, the more surface area touching the launching block, the better launch the cars get. And when I say better launch, what I mean is the cars push out straight and fast. When cars have a weird point or a curve at the back, or points from a wing like we've seen with Batmobiles in the past, they only have small points of contact with the launcher, and when it pushes it out, they can wobble, they can get turned to one side, they can wobble, and it just starts a pattern that results in them bouncing back and forth, or flying up in the air and crashing into one of the barriers. There's a number of things that can happen, but with cars that have flat back ends, they get a better push and tend not to do erratic things on the track. So we have the 71 Plymouth Road Runner. Let me just double check the year. Yep, 2021. So that is the first car that is going to be entered into today's tournament and entered into the fleet. And let's go next with a fantasy car. And this one is interesting because it looks to be, I can't tell because of the paint job, if it's metal on metal or metal on, or plastic on metal. But the base of this car is definitely metal. And it is this one. It is the Amazoom. So let's take a look at this. It's one of the Hot Wheels art cars. And so it's interesting because it's a fantasy car, but it definitely has the look of, you can see the influences that they pulled in from Acuras and Nissans and different cars like that. So let me crack this open, take a look at it. Okay. This car, this is, yeah, the top, the body is definitely plastic, the base is metal, and it's hard to know offhand how that is going to, what that is going to mean for the performance of the car overall, but we will find out. So let me just get this view here, and I think that is going to be good right there. Good representation. focus locked in. Start. Okay. And so with this one, I don't know, it seems bulky for some reason. I don't know if it's the color scheme that's making me think that, or if it's actually the build. In the case where they are trying to, actually, let me check the year. The year on this one is 2013. Oh, it's going the wrong way. All right. And switch over to video. Catch this video. We can take a look at it. But, so when I say it's a fantasy car, it's a car that is not modeled after a real world car, but you can see all of the influences. And sometimes, it seems, when they are making fantasy cars but taking inspiration from real cars, they add everything in there. Every diffuser, every fender flare, every let's put a wing on it. Let's put a, just a splitter, or this or that. Everything is thrown on this car, and it might be a little too much. It might be a little too much, but Amazoom, and I said the year was 2013. So, we'll see how it does. I don't have high hopes for this car. I do not. I'll say that right up front. Let me grab the scale, because I am curious about how much this car weighs. Let's see. Scale here. At some point, I think I need to figure out how to have a camera view that includes the scale, but that would be one more camera. I think I currently have 5 cameras set up, and adding a 6th, what's one more? But so let's see. This Amazoom, this car weighs in at 35.7 grams, which isn't, it's not that heavy. The Plymouth, the Superbird, coming in, or the Road Runner is coming in at 37.7 grams. So those aren't too far off, just a couple of grams here or two. The BMW, the fastest in fleet, is 36.3. So all of these cars are within the same range, plus or minus a gram or two. So that should suggest that we will have a pretty good series of races. All right, so we've got 2 cars so far. We've got the 71 Plymouth Road Runner. We've got the Amazoom. And the next car to be entered in, let's see, we've gone real car, we've gone fantasy car. So I guess now it's time to get to a real car. And next up is the Cadillac Cien Concept. And this one's interesting because it has the faster than ever wheels, which we kind of went over that last week, because last week one of the cars that was picked was this Cadillac V16, and it also had the faster than ever wheels. But we also had a version of this car, because I didn't have these when someone said they wanted to see this car race our former fastest in fleet car. So I had to order them off eBay, and the only way I could get them the best deal was a 2-pack. And the 2-pack had one with just the standard wheels, and then the other with the faster than ever wheels. And the faster than ever wheels definitely spin much more smoothly. And the whole idea is that the faster than ever cars, the axle is nickel plated, which reduces the amount of friction and therefore allows the wheel to spin more freely and faster because there's less friction slowing it down. By comparison, we also had this car, which you won't be able to see because of the green screen, but you can see the important part is these orange wheels. And on the package, Hot Wheels says, oh, the orange wheels mean best for track. I don't know what that means. I think it's just marketing, like, hey, we've got orange wheels, let's say they're best for track, because they definitely don't spin as smoothly. I mean, you can even hear them. I think I did this last time. I'll put it by the microphone. You can hear these wheels. All that rattling. So in contrast, these are the faster than ever wheels spinning. Like, you can barely hear a thing. So there is something to the faster than ever wheels concept. It just didn't work out on our track. So there's other factors that come into play. But this Cadillac Cien Concept might be able to get some revenge for the two Cadillacs that lost last week. And in fact, there was also a Cadillac the previous week, a Cadillac El Mirage, I believe it was called. But let's crack open this Cien Concept car and take a look. Okay, let's see. I'm just looking at the back of the card. Some of these older cards have information on the back, and this one has a fun fact. In addition to the 1/64th scale Cadillac Cien Concept, which has been a part of the line since 2003, there is also a 1/18th scale Hot Wheels version. Okay, so a bigger version of this. So let's see. What's the year on this? 2002. And let's take a closer look at this car. All right. Lock in that focus and shoot this video. Now this will be interesting because the faster than ever wheels that were on the other Cadillac, the other Cadillac was much bigger. It was a longer car, and the other Cadillac, the V16, I've seen it do very well on channels that race Hot Wheels on a gravity track. We don't do that. We have a drag strip with a launcher, and so you don't necessarily get the same outcomes. A car that does well on a gravity track isn't necessarily going to do well on a drag track, and vice versa. So it is pretty interesting to see the differences in the performance. But I am going to, at some point, as I watch other channels and their races, I always sort of make notes about which cars are the fastest on their channels so that I can get a hold of those cars and then have the races here and see how they perform on our drag track. So let's see, we got that view of the car. And I think, again, this being this car has the faster than ever wheels, but it's shorter. So, and it's much more compact. Looking at the back end, it does have a bit of a, it's not exactly a point, but it is, it doesn't appear to be, I don't know. It's just, it's not really a point. It's a gentle, soft, subtle, very subtle curve that's happening. And right about there, it's just, that curve is not necessarily going to give it the most surface area touching the launcher. It's just really going to be touching that point. And so I don't know. It's gonna be tough. Let me get that off of there. But this may, in fact, it may work out. But let's get the still picture of this one. Right out here. Switch over to photo. Let's zoom in. Okay. And I think that's good. Lock in the focus. And get the picture. All right. So we've gotten that picture. That looks good. And let's see. Yeah, it's good. All right. So now we have the Cadillac Cien Concept car with the faster than ever wheels. Oh, let me check the weight. See if this is how it's coming in. It's definitely got a metal body and a plastic base. And the weight, it is coming in at 33.7 grams. So all of these cars are just within a couple of grams of one another, which is a good thing, because there's not really going to be an advantage in terms of weight, and sometimes that does make a difference. We've seen heavier cars lose momentum and slow down on our track, and then that's that. They lose. And so let's see, we are halfway through. We've got 3 cars. We've got the Plymouth Road Runner, the 71 Plymouth Road Runner. We've got the Amazoom car, and we've got the Cadillac Cien Concept. So that's 3. But remember, if you want to select a car, just go to AtTheTrack.live, and you can go to this page, and you can scroll through, and you can find a car that you think is faster than the Amazoom, or the Cien Concept, or the 71 Plymouth. Maybe you think that this racing stalker, this Mountain Dew, I've had this one. I had this one when I was a kid. This one has these gold Hot Ones wheels, and this is a similar thing where I believe that they have the nickel-plated axles, and so these wheels tend to spin faster. However, this car is metal on metal. You can see from the reflection in the mirror, this is all metal down below, all metal up top. And so in a gravity track, this would probably be a good car to pick. It's a heavier car with the faster, or the gold Hot Ones wheels. So this would be a good car. But on our track, I don't think this is, I think it might get off to a good start, but I think the weight ultimately would slow it down as it got toward the back end of the track. But hey, if you think this is the car for you, you think this is the car that is going to get that victory, you can pick it. All you have to do is take the number of the car right there, drop it in the chat, and then I will pull the car and we will race it. So we have 3 cars. It is time to get a 4th car. And let's see, we've gone real car, fantasy car, real car. So it's time for another fantasy car. And in this case, it will be, let's pull this one. Another of these 90s blue cards. Let's get this off. This one right here. It is the Callaway C7. And it is part of the Hot Wheels, the Extreme Speed series, which I don't know what that means. It's just marketing. What have they done to this car to make it extreme? Oh, and the reason why you can't see it is because the car is green. There's a green screen. So I'm going to have to crack it open so you can actually see it. But once again, Extreme Speed series, what does that mean? And there's nothing on the back that says anything about it. They've trademarked it, but I don't think it means much of anything. But who knows? We'll find out when we get this thing on the track. So let's crack it open and take a closer look. Okay, the Callaway C7. And I'm just going to presume that this is an actual car. I mean, fantasy car, because I'm not familiar with any brand, the Callaway. So, no, it says, I'm mistaken. On the back of the package, it says the Callaway C7, produced under license from Callaway Advanced Technology. So apparently there was or is a car manufacturing company named Callaway, and this was a car that they produced. So this is actually not a fantasy car. This is an actual car that existed at some point. So let's see here. We'll just take the still picture first. Already got it lined up pretty well. Let's just hit it right there. Lock in that focus, and boom, got the picture. And let's get some video of this car as it comes around. Once again, lock in the focus, kind of important. And shoot that video. And what's its? I didn't catch what was on the hood. It says extreme something. I don't know if it says extreme speed, if that's part of the part of it, but this is car number 576, the Callaway C7. Perhaps it was a prototype or a one-off. I don't know. I'll have to look this up, because I've heard of the Callaway, the company that makes golf equipment, but I'm not familiar with a car company by the name of Callaway. So, all right, so this should be interesting. It's a metal body on a plastic base, and the cars that we've chosen and had from the 90s tend to be heavier. But I'm looking in the back, and I see that it's got this tiny little plastic exhaust sticking out, and it sticks out beyond the back of the rear bumper, and therefore that's going to be the only point of contact that the launching block has to push this car out, which is probably going to lead to some wobbling, and that is not going to bode well for its chances. So if you look right here, you can see, oh, come on Siri, stop that. So right back here, you can see this is what the launching block is going to touch to push the car out. It would be better if these were not here and the launching block could have this entire rear bumper surface area to push against. But it is what it is, and this car is going to have to deal with that. Now, it does have two of these exhausts. You can see right there. That's a good view. So at least there's two. It's even. Some cars just have one, and it gets pushed out, and it's just a disaster from the start. But we will see what happens. Gonna weigh this car, and this car is weighing in at 36.3 grams. So we're right, all the cars were kind of in that range between 33 and 36 grams, which is good. So let me check the year on this car. It is 1997. So add that in right here. 1997. The Callaway C7, 1997. All right, we have 4 cards. We've got 2 to go. And since it turns out we inadvertently went with a reality car, we're going to come back and go with a fantasy car. And this is one of the ultimate fantasy cars because this is yet another Batmobile. And this is the Batman Batmobile. And this is not the Batman from that movie that came out, the Batman. That one we've already entered, and that was the one that was more of a muscle car. This one is probably from one of the animated shows, animated Batman cartoons. The Batman Batmobile. And this one's cool. It's blue. I don't believe that in the series it's blue, but I like the look of this one. And since we're having so many Batmobiles, they don't all need to be black. But here we go. Let's crack this one open, take a closer look at the Batman Batmobile. Okay. Let's take a look. Now this one feels pretty light. In fact, it's a plastic body on a metal base. So there is that to consider. Let's see. Noticing I have a lot of these blue cars, and this blue background is not necessarily allowing for the most contrast, but it should be okay. 2, 3, 4. All right, got that in there, and it is definitely a Batmobile. I think that view does give an opportunity to really sort of look at the shade, and that's why I use the 3/4 views, is because I want the students to be able to see the profile, but also get a sense of the back end of the car and the front end, the front and back ends. And with this, even though they can't necessarily see the entire back end, they can see those 2 wings. And those 2 wings right here, if they stick out beyond whatever is happening at the rear of the car, then that is not going to be ideal. And for all the reasons that I have previously explained, but I do like this car, and I think if it can get a solid launch, it has the potential to do very well. So let me get this one entered in. The Batman Batmobile. 577. We're inching closer to 600 cars, which is kind of crazy, but we're on the march. The Batman Batmobile. And it was not too long ago that we had the 500th car, which was the Eli Rehnquist. I don't remember if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but it was the car that was modeled after the rally car that this woman used to win a rally Grand Prix race in Argentina, and she was the first woman to achieve that. And BMW and Matchbox made a sort of memorialized her victory and in that car in a campaign that's really quite interesting. There's videos on YouTube, and if you go back and look at our 500th car episode, then you can I go over the history there. But now, as this Batmobile swings around, you'll see that it looks like this metal part, this back end here, sticks out further than these wings. And yeah, I think so. And so that means that that pointy part right there is pretty much going to be the only part of the car that is touching the launching block. And because of that, that means that the kind of push that this car is going to get, it's up in the air. It's anybody's guess at this point. Let me check the year. Oh, okay, yeah, plastic body, metal base. The year is 2013, the same as the Amazoom. So we've got that. And let's check the weight. See if it's in that 33 to 36 gram category with the other cars. And it is. It comes in at 35.5 grams. So weight, all of these cars are very similar in weight. So we should have some good races, good outcomes. Now, let's get to our final entrant. And you still have a little bit of time to go to AtTheTrack.live and select a car. Go down to the go to AtTheTrack.live, go down to the choose a car option, and then select the car that you would like to see in the races. So, the last car is one that I just picked up in the airport. And if you are in California and you're a Hot Wheels collector and you happen to be flying out of LAX and you are in Terminal 5, there is an FAO Schwartz store there in the terminal, and they have a section of their wall that has Hot Wheels, Hot Wheels, Hot Wheels. And they usually have, every time I've been there, they have Hot Wheels cars that I haven't seen in stores anywhere at that point. I mean, well, they have some Hot Wheels that I haven't seen in stores to that point. And so I'll pick them up just because I haven't seen them. And who knows whether or not I'll find them in Walmart or Target or wherever. So if I see a particularly interesting or cool Hot Wheels car, I'll pick it up and bring it back. The problem is that this part right here, they are charging $4.99 for a Hot Wheels car that you can get in Target or Walmart or your grocery store for about $1.25. There's no excuse and no reason for this markup, but it's the same reason why a turkey sandwich in the airport is going to cost you $13 versus, $5 if you're out anywhere else in the real world. So the cars have to be really special or really interesting for me to go ahead and pay the $5 for one car. But I saw this one, this Volkswagen T2 Pickup, and I may see it in the stores, I may not, but I know that the Volkswagen trucks, very popular. So I may see it in the stores, I may not. But I picked it up anyway, so what's done is done. And this is it. This is the Volkswagen T2 Pickup. And let's crack this open and take a look. Okay. Let's see, the year on this is 2016. All right, 2016 Volkswagen T2 Pickup. I already see something that I'm not a fan of, but that's okay. So, right off the bat, I don't like wheels that are not flush with the body. And these wheels are tucked way under the body of the car and here in the front. And they are not, let's flip it on the side. like, look at that. I haven't had a car really perform well with wheels set this far in. And if you look at like right here, that's a huge gap between the body and where the wheel actually sits. So I don't know. I don't like the wheel placement at all, but we'll see what that means for the car for its performance. Now, here's something interesting. So the body is the body's plastic, I think. I think the body's plastic. It may be metal. It's hard to tell. But then it's got this metal in the back, and then the base is plastic. So this is an odd car because it seems to have an odd mixture of materials being used, and it also seems to be a little, I mean, just the design of it, because in looking at it, it is not an aerodynamic vehicle, but we'll have to check the weight and how those wheels, how is that going to affect the performance. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for this truck, but I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I liked the design of it, and I think I will. Might as well shoot the video first. So let's get this here. And as it comes around, traditional. I mean, that's so non-aerodynamic that this may be the only time this car gets to hit the track, because I can't see students necessarily picking this car just because I've taught them about aerodynamics and what to look for, what makes what qualifies as good. I see another problem. The engine in the back, you've got, now that's a cool feature, like look at all that detail on the engine, but if you look at those two pipes sticking right out of the back, that is going to mean that those are the only points of contact for this truck against the launcher. Those two tiny little exhaust pipes just sticking out right there. That is not a good sign. The Volkswagen T2 Pickup, and I believe the year I said was 2016. But yeah, when the students are selecting the cars, they're supposed to be looking for good aerodynamics. And this truck with the flat front is the epitome of unaerodynamic, non-aerodynamic design. So let's get this photo. Switch over to here, zoom in, and go this way. Right here. Get a good 3/4 view. And lock in the focus. Snap the picture. Boom. And now we have it. We have our 6 cars that we are going to take to the track. We have the Plymouth Road Runner. We have the Amazoom. We have the Cadillac Cien Concept. We have the Callaway C7. The Batman Batmobile. And we have this Volkswagen T2 Pickup. So and I guess I might as well, since I've done it with the others, I might as well weigh this truck. See where it's coming in, if it's coming in between that 33 and 36 range. It is 34.4, so that is where this truck is coming in, and take a look again at, see, and when you look at it, that is not what you want to see. If it didn't have these two little pipes sticking out, that would be great, because this whole back end, this whole flat back end, would press right up against that launching block and give this thing a really good push out of the blocks. With these two pipes sticking out, I don't know. It's anybody's guess. But fortunately, we don't have to guess. We are going to find out. We are going to go to the track. We are going to have a little mini tournament. We are going to see which of these 6 cars is going to challenge our fastest in fleet car, which is currently the BMW M3 GT2. And yeah, we will find out if any of these cars can take that one out, and what kind of launches we're going to get from some of these cars with the weird points in the back and the curves and the faster than ever wheels. We've got a good mix. I'm excited. So let's not wait much longer. Let's go to the track. But first, let me explain to you what you're going to be seeing once we get to the track. When we get to the track, we have a 3-camera view, and you will see 3 cameras. The cars will start in the left camera view. At the top of the screen, you can see that is where the launcher is. I will give a countdown. 3, 2, 1, race. I will release the cars. They will come flying out of the launcher towards the bottom of the screen. Once they pass out of the bottom of the screen on the far left, you can pick them up at the top of the screen in the middle. For the middle section of our track, the cars will come flying down from the top to the bottom of the middle screen. Once they pass out of the bottom of the middle screen, you can pick them up on the far right view, which is our finish line camera, and the cars will come flying down and cross the finish line. Now, with the finish line, there will be indicator lights. A flashing red light indicates the losing car. A solid red light indicates the winning car. So again, a solid red light indicates the winner. A flashing red light indicates the losing car. We also have to mention the rules. The cars will be switching lanes between races. It is the best 2 out of 3. One car will start in lane 1, one in lane 2. Second race, they'll switch. If there needs to be a third race, they'll switch back. So no car has any advantage over the other based on better lane conditions. So that is all you need to know for now. We've got our 6 cars. We've got our fastest in fleet car. And now it's time to actually go to the track, race these cars. So I will see you over there in about 30 seconds. Okay, let me just need to double check here to make sure that our sound is where it should be. We had a few months back, an issue with the sound. Just checking the levels. 1, 2. All right, sounds good. Here we go. Okay, so we're at the track. We have which is going first? Let's go with let's see. Let's go with the We'll go with the Amazoom and the Plymouth Road Runner. See how those fare. Actually, no. I'm not going to do that. We're going to do it differently because we have two cars that are somewhat similar. So we're going to go with the Plymouth against the Callaway. So that is where we're going to start off. So let's see here. We will put the Plymouth will be in lane number 1. Get that lined up. And we will have the Callaway will be in lane number 2. And the Callaway is the one where it had the two exhaust pipes sticking out of the back, and they didn't necessarily press up. Well, they are pressed up against the launching block, but unfortunately, that's the only part of the car that's pressed against the launching block. So we will see how that works out. Let me get this Plymouth. All right, so we've got the Road Runner in lane 1. We have the Callaway in lane number 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Okay, and the Plymouth takes it. So we have 1 race to none. And the Plymouth, it looked pretty good, pretty fast. That race was not necessarily close. But we'll see, because, again, the Callaway is not going to get as good a launch, in my opinion, based on the points of contact. But it wasn't a bad launch, but it just wasn't fast enough to give the Road Runner. I think I called it the Superbird. I don't know where I'm getting that. That's the sandwich at Denny's, I believe. So now let's switch lanes. Put the Road Runner in lane number 2. And sometimes the cars are a little temperamental and don't want to get pressed up against the block, but we've got it in there now. And this Callaway C7 is in lane number 1, and that's pressed up in there pretty well. So, all right, we've got that, and let's see what happens. If the Road Runner takes this race, then the Road Runner will be moving on. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Wow. The Road Runner, even more dominant. And hang on, I'm just checking something here. All right, so the Road Runner took that easily. There was no trouble, no problem, and it looked pretty fast. But it could just be that the Callaway is slow, and that is something that we've learned in watching these races over the last few months, and that I've learned watching them over the years, is that a car, really, it's hard to judge based off of one race, because it could just be facing a slow car. If the Callaway is just a slow car, then it makes the Plymouth look even faster. But we have to have multiple races, multiple results, and then we can make some real determinations. So next up, let's see. We'll have the Amazoom against the Cadillac Cien Concept with the faster than ever wheels. So this is our second week of featuring a Cadillac with the faster than ever wheels. So we will get a good look and a good sense for whether or not these faster than ever wheels are going to make the kind of impression that will make me dig around for more faster than ever cars, because I know I have some in the storage bin. So here we go. Lane number 2 is the Amazoom. Lane number 1 is the Cadillac Cien Concept. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Very interesting, because the Cien Concept did not get the best launch initially, but you saw somewhere just past midway, the midway point on the track, it actually picked up speed. Or you could say that the Amazoom lost speed and the Cien Concept passed it by and beat it. So that is interesting outcome. So let's see, because sometimes we've seen heavier cars slow down toward the end of the track, but all of these cars weigh about the same, so there's no reason for one car to slow down versus the others. But this Cadillac Cien Concept got the job done pretty easily. So let's see, we're switching lanes. I'm going to see if the Amazoom can redeem itself and stay in the mix. So the Amazoom is now in lane number 1. We have the Cadillac Cien Concept in lane number 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. And the Cien Concept took that race with ease, with a lot of ease. So it will move on, and we will send the Amazoom over with the Callaway. And right now, the faster than ever wheels, looking good, looking good. But again, how do we know? Because the Amazoom may just be a slow car. I told you when we were doing the reviews that I thought it was bulky, and it, I don't know, something about it. It just looked, it was an interesting looking car, but still too bulky for my taste. All right, so next up we're gonna have the Batmobile against this truck. And I just have to check. Okay, that's all good right there. So the Batmobile versus the pickup truck. This doesn't seem like it should be all that interesting or close of a race, but you never know. You never know. This truck could surprise us. Who knows? So let's get the Batmobile in lane 1. And the Batmobile, the problem, again, as I mentioned, is that it has that weird little point in the back that is the only thing that's touching the launching block. But similarly, this truck has the tiny little exhaust pipe sticking out, and they are touching the launching block, and that is the only part of the truck that is touching, in addition to the fact that these wheels are tucked in underneath the body, which I just really don't like. But that's how the car was made, and that's it. I don't swap out the wheels. I don't do anything to these cars. So we will just have to see how this plays out. So we have the Volkswagen T2 Pickup in lane 2. We have the Batman Batmobile in lane 1. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. The Batmobile, with that weird one point of contact, slammed into the barrier, which was somewhat predictable that it wouldn't get a good straight launch. Meanwhile, the pickup truck wobbled its way down the track, which again was also predictable, because it's not, when cars don't have a good launch, they either fly off the track like the Batmobile did, or they start to wobble. They hit one side of the track, and then because of Isaac Newton's third law of motion, that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, the reaction is if they hit the right side of the track, they're going to bounce back and hit the left side. And once they hit the left side, they're going to bounce off and hit the right. And hitting the sides of the track creates friction, and that friction slows the car down ultimately. So that is not something that you want. You want to have a good solid launch and the car to stay as straight as possible, avoiding rubbing up against the sides of the track. But when you don't have a good point of contact, that's not necessarily possible. So what you get is what we're seeing. So let me get this lined up. And there's a technical thing going on, so I can't necessarily see the comments right now. I have to look on the other my other screen, so I'll take a look after we get this race out of the way, to see if anyone has any comments or suggestions, but I will get to those momentarily. This pickup truck, all right, got it in there. It's lined up, and as you saw in the rules that showed up before we started racing, we have a rule that if a car crashes once, then we just restart, we throw out the results, redo the race. If a car crashes twice consecutively, it's eliminated. So if this Batmobile crashes again, it's out, and this pickup truck moves on. So we'll see what happens. Three, two, one, race. The Batmobile did not like being threatened with elimination and stayed on the track, won the race, won it rather convincingly, and we will now move on to race number 2. The truck, the Volkswagen Pickup, performed about the same as it did the first time, which is not anything. I didn't notice as much of a wobble, but I was also watching the Batmobile to see if it was going to crash. But there's no reason to think that the truck wouldn't have a similar kind of wobble, given that it's only got the one really tiny point of contact. So we'll line these cars up again. Batmobile and this truck. Okay, so both cars are lined up, ready to go. So we've got the Batmobile in lane 2. We've got the Volkswagen T2 Pickup in lane 1. If the Batmobile wins, it moves on. So let's see what happens. The Batmobile takes that race by quite a wide margin, and it will be moving on. So let's grab that here, and then I'll take this T2 truck here, and let me go ahead and just check. Let me go check the comments just to make sure I haven't missed anything. So hang on for just a second. Okay, now let's see. We are going to check for we've got the Batmobile, we've got the Cien Concept, and we have the Plymouth Road Runner. So what we'll do is we'll just go Road Runner versus Batmobile, and then after that, that car will take on the Cien Concept, and then the winner will take on the BMW. So let's go Road Runner. Batmobile lane 2, Road Runner lane 1. If I can get the Road Runner to line up. The Road Runner also has two different size wheels. Larger wheels at the back, smaller wheels at the front. Don't know that that's necessarily going to determine anything or change the outcome, but it's just another thing to note about the cars. Get these lined up. All right, here we go. We've got the Road Runner in lane 1. We have the Batmobile in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Race 1. Three, two, one, race. Woo! That was very close, but the Plymouth Road Runner pulled it out. That was good. And remember, with the finish line, the solid red light indicates the winner, and the flashing red light indicates the losing car. So that was a very good race. And we are going to switch sides and drop the Batmobile over into lane number 2. I'm sorry, into lane number 1. The Batmobile will be in lane number 1. And the Road Runner will be in lane number 2. If I can get it pressed in. Once again, it's being a little temperamental, but hey, it was like that the last race, and it came out and did its thing and won, so I can't be mad at it. All right, here we go. We've got Batmobile in lane 1. We've got the Road Runner in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Plymouth, even more dominant out of lane number 2, takes it and will move on to face the Cadillac Cien Concept car in today's finals to see which of these two cars is going to challenge the BMW for supremacy in the all about aerodynamics at the track drag strip. All right, so here we go. Batmobile, have a seat, and we will go with, we'll have the Plymouth Road Runner in lane number 1, or lane number 2. And I don't know why this car is so insistent on not getting locked in right away, but I'll have to work with it. And then the Cien Concept is in lane number 1. This Road Runner refuses to set up properly, but just a little bit of patience and a little bit of, come on, get in there, stay in there. All right, good. Got it locked in. So this is the finals. We have the Cien Concept with the faster than ever wheels in lane 1. We have the Plymouth 71 Road Runner in lane 2. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Plymouth comes out on top. So faster than ever did not necessarily help it. Those cars, they both seem to, I don't know, it didn't seem like the best start, but it was even. I can't say one car got an advantage over the other, but didn't look like the greatest start, but it was a good race. But nevertheless, the Plymouth took it, and so we will switch lanes and see if the Cadillac Cien Concept can restore the honor of both the Cadillac fleet and the faster than ever wheels, because this will be the second week in a row that these faster than ever wheels don't live up to the hype and can't get the job done when it matters most. So we'll see. We'll give this car, it's not over until it's over. But if the Cadillac Cien Concept in lane 2 cannot take this race, it's over. And we will be looking at the Plymouth 71 Road Runner as our champion for today. So let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Very close race, very close, and the Cadillac takes it. So we now have 1-1. We're going to a third and final race to make sure that the things that they didn't bump the final camera. All right, so this is what we like to see. Two cars, the top of their game, going head to head to find out which car is in fact going to be the champion. Let me just make sure this starting finish line gate didn't get knocked out of place. Okay, everything's lined up. Everything looks good. We are going to a third and final race. The cars are going to switch lanes back to where they were for race number 1. So we will have the Cadillac will be in lane number 1. And we will have the Plymouth in lane 2. Okay, the cars are lined up. They are ready to go. This is the third and final race. The car that takes this will be today's champion. We have the Cadillac Cien Concept with the faster-than-ever wheels in lane 1. We have the 71 Plymouth Road Runner in lane 2. Let's see who takes it. Three, two, one, race. The Plymouth takes it and will be facing the BMW M3 to find out which car is going to be the fastest in fleet. So the faster than ever wheels had a good showing, just like last week. They had a good showing, but it did not result in a win. So it's interesting, very interesting. All right, let's go and line these cars up again. And this is going to determine the fastest in fleet car. So we'll get the BMW is going to be in lane number 2. We'll put the Plymouth in lane number 1. Okay. They are lined up. This is to determine who is the fastest in fleet car. Is it going to be the BMW? Is it going to maintain its title? Or is it going to be handed over, taken from it by the 71 Plymouth Road Runner? Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. A very close race. A very close race. But, once again, the BMW takes it. So we will go to a second race. Cars will switch lanes. And we will see if the Plymouth can redeem itself and force a third and final race. Let's go back to the start. Cars will switch sides, switch lanes. The BMW just gets such a good push from the starting blocks with that large flat wing in the back that it makes it a little tough for these other cars to duplicate that performance. But the back of the Plymouth is pretty straight, so it's not looking bad. All right, so now we've switched sides, switched lanes. We've got the BMW in lane 1. We've got the Plymouth in lane 2. If the BMW takes it, it remains our fastest in fleet car. Let's see what happens. Three, two, one, race. Okay, the Plymouth came back, took the race, got some of that lane 2 hot sauce. Now the Plymouth did win earlier out of lane 1, but these last couple of races, lane 2 has definitely been the hot lane. Just checking again to make sure there aren't any obstructions. Nothing to slow these cars down. No, so we've got a good head-to-head matchup, 1-to-1. We are going to switch lanes for this final race and see how it all plays out. All right, hang on. Get the launcher set. Okay. And we're going to put the BMW in lane 2. We're going to put the Road Runner in lane number 1. See if this Road Runner can be a super bird and dethrone the BMW. So this is it. This is the third and final race. Whichever one of these cars wins will be our fastest in fleet champion. So here we go. Three, two, one, race. Oh. The BMW left no doubt at all. That was the most convincing victory probably of the day. That was not even close, not even remotely. The Plymouth, the Road Runner, that's a good car. It did much better than I expected as for it being a larger car, but this BMW is put in a next level performance there at the end. So let me gather up these cars, head back into the garage, and we'll take a look at our winner and see what's coming up next. So the BMW M3 remains the champion. That car, that last race was definitive. It was not close. We saw good performances today out of lane 2 from that car, but that was I don't know. Maybe the Superbird got a bad launch or something happened, but it didn't crash and it didn't look like it was wobbling. It just looked like the BMW was just lights out faster, and there's not really much you can do about that because it tracks, because the BMW has been the fastest in fleet, the fastest car for the past few weeks. And I thought today, especially with the Cien Concept car with the faster than ever wheels, I thought there might be a chance that it beats out the BMW, but that was not the case. And so we will be coming in next week with this BMW still being the top car. That's just how it is. So it's exciting to have a car that is going to be multi-week champion, and there will definitely be some promotion that you'll see from our Instagram account, hyping up the fastest in fleet car. And it gives you an opportunity. You've seen this car on the track. You've seen it face a number of different cars. You've seen which cars have kept the races close, which cars have gotten totally blown out. So that should impact your selection when it comes to picking a car that can go up against this one and possibly take it out. So all you have to do is you can go to AtTheTrack.live. You can select the choose a car option. That will take you to this page. On this page, you can scroll through. You can find the car that you think can dethrone the BMW M3 GT2. If you think it's this Mazda RX-7, you can click on that. You can take a closer look. You can say, yeah, I think that's the car. Then all you have to do is take the number right there, in this case 53, and drop it into the chat. I'll pull that car, we'll take it to the track, and we will see if you're correct. If you found a car that can beat the BMW M3. If you can, congratulations. You will have the new fastest in fleet car. If you can't, then don't worry about it, because a lot of cars have tried so far to beat this M3 and have not been able to get the job done. So, it is the car of the moment, the car of the past few weeks, and we will see if it can keep up this run next week when we are back here on At The Track Live every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. There will be 6 new cars introduced. We'll have more races, have some fun. In the meantime, you can visit our Instagram account at AA Aerodynamics to find out about which cars. You can get a preview of which cars are going to be showing up next Saturday, and that can help inform your picks and your selections. You can go to aaerodynamics.com to learn more about our science program and how to bring all about aerodynamics to your students in your school, your organization, your special event. And if you have any questions, there are email links and ways that you can reach out to me, and I can answer your questions, and we can bring our program to your students. So, for All About Aerodynamics, for At The Track Live, I am Coach James, and until next week, I'll see you at the races.